So we use Planning Center check-ins for all of our kids ministry check-ins on Sunday morning. So that's what they sign in on, that's what prints their name tag, that's how we track attendance, et cetera, et cetera. And like a lot of churches out there for forever, we were just using iPads set up with Brother printers that connected wirelessly to each other. Now there's a couple ways you can do this based on which printer model you have. We had the ones that do it all entirely over Wi-Fi. They also have some that are Bluetooth enabled, but I think they suffer from similar problems, which is that they constantly disconnect. And it's so frustrating, right? It's Sunday morning, you get a ton of people coming in to check in, and all of a sudden they're able to check in on the iPad, but no name tag prints. Or the iPad itself just disconnects from the Wi-Fi, or whatever it is. You're just constantly struggling with things not staying connected, not working. And of course, it always happens when there is a rush of parents and kids coming up. They're all standing there, they're all staring at you, wondering why they can't check in their kids, right? They don't care what the backend system is. They don't care if you're using Planning Center or who knows what. They just care that they can't check in their kids and go to church. So we came up with a solution that is not only more reliable and faster, but it also is cheaper. Instead of using iPads, we are now using small Windows desktop computers and some little touchscreen monitors that we have set up on some monitor mounts. We are also now using Dymo printers instead of the Brother printers that I think a lot of people are using. So why did we go this way? Well, one, we can actually hardwire them into the internet, right? So now instead of having to rely on Wi-Fi for our actual computers that are doing the check-ins, we now can have them plugged in with an Ethernet cable. So this means that even if there's a lot of people in here, we still have a pretty reliable, fast connection to our network. Number two, it means that we can have a wired connection to our printers. Now I know Planning Center's been working on this a lot recently, but we made this switch before that, and I still don't know that I would trust it anyways, but you can actually plug in these printers. In fact, you have to plug in these printers via USB. And so this means that no longer are we waiting on some wireless connection or to send something to the internet and then come back down to the printer. Instead, it's all happening locally. It's all happening right there on things that are directly connected to each other. And then finally, they're cheaper. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I'll put them on the screen when I actually make this video. This whole system is actually cheaper than an iPad and a Brother printer. Not only that, but if any particular part breaks for some reason, we can replace it for a lot more cheaply than we could replace a printer or an iPad. So what did we actually build this with? Let me kind of break it down for you and break down what is required to make this happen. So first, the brains of it are these small little Windows computers. So I'll try to get in here and get an angle of it. We have 3 of them stacked up right here. And as far as thermals are concerned, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this, but it's been okay for us. There's nothing special about them. They actually, as far as specs go, are pretty underwhelming. But the thing is, computers are so cheap these days that we're able to do this without spending an arm and a leg. And again, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I will make sure to put those on the screen as I'm talking about it. So you get one of those, it comes with Windows installed on it, it's ready to go. Then we have the Dymo printers, which not only, like I said, are wired printers, but they actually print faster than the Brother ones did anyway. I don't have the numbers again, but the labels per minute, which is maybe not that important when you're talking about check-in, is faster. And then finally, you still need to be able to actually type in your phone number and check in and whatever. We have these little touchscreen monitors. Now, touchscreen computer monitors can get very expensive very quickly. And they're also usually pretty big, right? We don't need giant displays. And that's kind of the advantage of an iPad is it's pretty small. It's very easy to just have kind of a keypad and then be able to select your name and hit print, right? So to solve this problem, instead of getting a full-on computer monitor that's a touchscreen, we instead got these little travel monitors that are touchscreens. They come with these little kickstand folio things. So if you were okay with just having like a little horizontal monitor down here on your desk, they would actually be great right out of the box. They're super cheap, they're touchscreen, whatever. But we kind of wanted to have them vertical for 2 reasons. One, because it's a keypad that shows up on the screen when there's an event, it actually fills in a lot more of that vertical space than it would horizontal space. But number 2, it also means that we can actually put the printer right below it, which means the entire profile of this printer, it might be a little bit deeper than an iPad, but it's actually narrower than an iPad is. And again, with the iPad, you need the iPad and the printer next to each other. So now all of a sudden we're able to have more check-in spaces in the same amount of horizontal desk space. So another advantage to this situation. And the last piece of this that really makes it what it is these little monitor stands. So again, we didn't really want these sitting directly on the table, though you definitely can. There's nothing saying that you can't do that. But instead, we got these little monitor arms, which you normally would use to just get a normal monitor up off the stand. But you put these things down, you plop on a little VESA tablet holder, and all of a sudden these things are good to go. The one main disadvantage I see with this versus the iPad solution, well, maybe two disadvantages. One is the cables, right? An iPad, you need a cable for the iPad and you need a power cable for the printer. But that's also the advantage that we're getting for these, so that's maybe kind of a wash. And as far as these goes, yeah, you do need a power cable and a data cable for the printer, and then you do need two cables going to your monitor. But with some little right angle adapters here and a lot of Velcro ties, you can make those pretty clean. And then obviously you need the power cable for the computer itself. But again, if you can put those down below somewhere, that's not too much of an issue. So when we actually look at this table, it doesn't really look all that messy. The cables are pretty much out of the way and hidden. But the main big disadvantage is the setup, right? Setting this up on an iPad is really straightforward. You download the app and you connect your printer. I have had problems connecting the printer sometimes. That can be kind of a pain, but setting up the actual check-ins app is really easy. Whereas on the Windows machine, it is a little bit more complicated, and it's a little bit more ongoing complicated. I don't want to lie to you. This is a full-fledged Windows computer. So after you get this and you get it turned on and you sign into it and whatnot, you have to download the check-ins app, which is very easy. Then you plug in the printer and you install the companion software for that, which is pretty easy again. But then there's actually a second Planning Center check-ins printing utility that you have to install. And if you're following the instructions on Planning Center's website, this stuff is all very obvious, very easy to do, but it is more setup than you would have to do on the iPad. But then there's a little bit more setup that you have to do to make sure that these things are as tablet-like as they can possibly be. And I kind of have a list right here of all the things that I make sure to do whenever I set up a new one. One is I want to turn off all the reporting for it so that we are not sending usage statistics and dealing with any performance hits that we might get from that. Next, we need to turn off Windows updates, at least automatic ones, right? We want to keep these updated, but we want that to be on our schedule. And Windows updates can ruin a check-in experience. Let me tell you what. Next, we need to make sure we turn down the volume on these monitors, right? They shouldn't be playing any sound, but they do have speakers and we don't want that to happen automatically. We need to rotate the screen to portrait. We need to make sure that it is scaled appropriately. We need to make sure different Windows sounds and alerts are turned off. Every so often I walk in here and it's trying to make me sign into Teams. So you need to manage the software that's installed on these. You need to lock them down enough that people can't accidentally get in and install some other type of software running on it. You need to make sure that it boots into check-ins. You need to make sure that your people manning them know how to use a Windows computer, which is not something to take for granted these days. So there is a little bit more around the management side of this than there is with just an iPad solution. But again, I think the stability of these speaks for itself. We've used these systems for almost a year now, and they have been flawless. I think the only times we've had any problems with them realistically are one, when they run out of labels, but that's just how it goes. And two, when Planning Center had an outage one day and there was nothing we could do about it. So barring that, these things have been rock solid. And we didn't even need to throw away our iPads. We still keep them up here and we keep them in whatever the mode is that lets somebody manage it, right? Because these are all set to just check in unmanned mode so somebody can walk up and check themselves in. But we like to make sure that if somebody new comes or somebody needs help, somebody is there ready to assist them. And so we use those iPads set up in that, and you're able to print to any of these stations. So we don't need the Brother printer anymore. Instead, we can just print directly to one of these stations, and that works flawlessly as well. So not only are these better, but now, if we just build one of these stations and bring our iPad along as well, we actually have two tablets for one printer, but with the reliability of the wired printer. So if you guys are using Planning Center check-ins and you're using iPads and Brother printers and it's a pain and you guys have problems with things disconnecting all the time, seriously, consider a setup like this. It's not without its pain points, but it's also just awesome and has been so many fewer headaches over the past year than we had before. I will link down below with a parts list, everything that we use to build these. I don't have a tutorial on how to build it necessarily, but hopefully in this video you can kind of see how it's all set up. And I will link my document of my checklist that I go through. And as long as you follow that and you follow Planning Center's own instructions, you should not have any problem setting this up. Again, it's been super awesome for us. I've heard from other people who have set it up in their church and had nothing but good things to say about it. So I hope this helps you guys. And let me know down in the comments if you guys are enjoying this other content that's like a little bit less production tech and more just church tech in general. Like most of you, I'm sure I do a lot of things at the church that's not just production. So I like to share those things too. So let me know if you guys are liking it and if there's anything specific you want to see. So until next time.